What's up everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's project is doing the front fork cells and replacing the fork fluid in these front forks of the Kawasaki 2019 Vulcan 650S. This has done about 50,000 Ks and hasn't been done for the whole duration of its life, so I'm just gonna do it because it's good practice even though they aren't leaking. So to start with, you need to take the wheel out. This is a 14mm hex socket that goes in there. To do that, you need to loosen this pinch bolt and then you'll be able to turn it out, and then need to take this front caliper off, and then this front mudguard off. So to take the caliper off these two bolts and you'll be able to push it out. Same with the ABS sensor, you take that bolt off and you should be able to take it out. To drop the forks, these are called pinch bolts. Loosen them, you don't have to take them all the way out. Even on this indicator, that's a pinch bolt right there. You don't have to take them all the way out, just loosen them and the fork should drop down. Well, don't let it drop, catch it before it drops. So let's get on to this. After the wheel and such has been removed, these two bolts, don't loosen them first. Loosen this one, I believe that's a 6mm. Loosen that first and you need to open this cap. Don't open it, I'm sorry. Just crack it open so that it will be easier for you to take it off when you need to. Why? Because when you have it off the bike, it's not so easy to crack it open if it's seized or something. So easiest way, do it while it's on the bike. If you have a spanner, that will be much more easier to remove this, because you it's not an easy place for you to get a socket on. So that's both forks out. There's a bolt on the bottom. I believe that's a 6mm. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. There's a 6mm bolt that holds this whole assembly in. This is your dust cover. Let me show you how to pop it off. Use a screwdriver or something. Put it in between where the face of the fork and the dust cover goes. Lift it up like that, and there's a tensioning spring inside. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. How you remove it is there's sort of half moon shaped places that's out of that spring. Use a spring screwdriver like this and put your screwdriver in there, lever it out and it will jump right out, and that's loosening your fork coil seals. Now I'll show you how to take everything apart. So I'm gonna start with taking the bolt inside this. So you're gonna need a long hex socket like this, because and an impact driver, because you won't be able to turn it by hand, and this is connected to here. So put it in on a place of cloth or something like that on the ground and try to make it steady with your legs. And let's take this bolt off. Just make sure the bottom part is not moving. I believe that's loose. So I did get it loose. Use the same socket to lift it up and pull the socket out. There's a crush washer inside and you need to pull that out as well. To take the crush washer out, a hook like this, and if it doesn't, you'll just have to tip it over. I just don't want to drop it in the oil. There you go. Got it out, keep it aside, and tip it over into a container to let the oil out. You're gonna have to pump it a couple of times like this to get all the oil out. Once the oil is out, give it a good hard pull on it, hold the bottom end, and then pull the top end and the bottom end apart. Once the spring is out, that should come out like that easy. And we'll let it drain for a while, and that insert goes on the bottom of here, goes onto this like that, and then goes onto the top part. Once the oil has been drained out, you need to take these parts out. So that's your seal that goes on the top. Make sure you know the order comes in. That's your metal washer and this metal ring. Take all these out and use a degreaser or something like that to clean all this, because if you haven't done this in a while, there will be a lot of gunk that's deposited there. Clean all those out before you put all your new seals in. And now I'm gonna go ahead and clean that out. Once everything's clean, make sure it's all wiped and no residue of degrease is left, and it's time to put everything back together. Now this ring goes in first, and after this metal washer. Now this metal washer has two sides. One side is slightly curved and one side is properly flat. Flat side goes down, so the curved side stays up. Your new 4-coil seals. Now this also has two sides. You can't put any side you want. This side with the groove that's going on the inside, that will be facing down. And be gentle with it. Don't have to push it all the way down. And then we need to install this tension tube into this bottom half. This inner that fell out of it, there's a spring inside of it. Make sure you have that spring in, and this bigger flat side goes towards the bottom of it, and it stays on the bottom like that. And time to install that into this tube. Once it's in, align everything together with the bolt and that washer and tighten everything up. Okay, I got my bolt and the washer. When you're putting the bolt in, screw in it a few threads first, and then use this impact gun, because you don't want it cross-threading. It's not a job that you want to do. And make sure you don't tighten it too much, because it's got a crush washer already in it. Make sure the crush washer is good, and few tightening turns like that, and it will be tight enough. Now it's time to install all the seals and stuff. So I've got a tool like this from you can buy this from AliExpress or eBay as well. This is all adjustable. This is sort of a spring itself. It goes in like this. It needs to go in where your seal sits, and this part, it's magnetic as well, so you can split it open, and then you need to gently tap it so that your seal goes in all the way in. When it goes in, you'll be able to see see a groove where that spring I took off earlier in the first place. This spring, that's spring needs to go into that groove, so this seal needs to go past that groove. So hammer it until it goes in. That's almost there now. So that's the seal in properly. Once the seal is in, get this spring, compress it from both ends, push that in. Once it's enough, use a screwdriver to push it down and it should go into its place by itself, and that's in properly. Get your dust cover that goes on the top. Now next job is to open this top. I hope you cracked it by now. Just gonna use a screwdriver to push it down on the dust cover. Yep, there you go, it's more seated. Open this top and fill it up with oil. So when you're opening this, make sure you have a proper grip on this, because this is spring loaded, and that means there's a big enough spring inside to hold a total bike up, and it's gonna spring on your face. So when it's getting loose enough, cover your hand, put your hand over like this, and then turn it out so that you have a grip on the whole cap when it's flying out. Just go ahead. And like I said, that's the cap, that's your spacer. You can take the spacer out, and the spring will be on the bottom. Now that's fully compressed. So in your service manual it says 150 millimeter oil filled up once it's compressed. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill it with oil. I've got 10 weight fork oil for that. So 150 millimeter up to the top will be about 400 milliliters. So I'm going to drop in 400 milliliters first and see how it sits. So I've got this neat thing to drop oil into. It doesn't go out of the bottom until I press this button. So I'm gonna put about 500 milliliters first into it so that it's easier for me to handle around. Okay, that's 500 milliliters in, and see, I can control the amount of the oil that I'm putting in. I can see how much I'm putting in. So I believe that's about 300, 350 maybe. Okay, now it's 350 and it's already on to the top. It doesn't mean this is filled, it just means this has not been bled out. I'm gonna put this funnel away for the moment. How do you blade this? Is you pull it up, push it down until you feel it gets blade, and it should start getting tight in your hands, and you'd see the oil going down as while you're doing this. Once your forks has been bled, this is a fork coil level gauge, and most of these tubes will have the gauge set on here. So I'll set it to 100 millimeters at the moment. Put it in, make sure it's in tightly, and then you can pull on the syringe. And how you'll know it's at the right level is when it starts sucking in air than fluid. And that's all set. Now to put back the spring and everything. Now the spring, make sure which side, with what way the spring comes on. And now this is fully compressed. Once the spring is gone, it's gonna extend, it's gonna overflow. So pull the tension tube out, drop the spring in. This washer goes on top of the spring, so make sure it goes on right way, and then put your spacer in. Now for the next part, you need to make sure your hand is clear, no oil and everything, because you need to be pushing down on this to make it grab the thread, and then turn it by your hand. Once it's threaded, you can use your wrench to tighten it up. The final part of tightening you can do while it's on the bike, because while it's on the bike it will be holding on much tighter. And that's it, that's one fork done. Do it the same with the other fork as well. After that you'll be ready to put your forks back into the triple trace. Once the forks are done, it's time to get the bike back together. Since the mudguard was a bit hard to take off while it was in the bike, I'm gonna put the mudguard back together before I put the forks back onto the bike. Make sure it goes in the right way. You don't want to be taking it off once everything is done. We're going to bother tightening these bolts down for the moment. We're just going to thread in so that the mudguard will be staying in one place rather than moving around. So once that's ready to go in, make sure you got your 6mm hex key to tighten these, because you can't let it hang while you search for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this in. If you need, you can use a WD-40 or some kind of a lube if it helps you. It's up to you, but I didn't bother use because it came out easy. Didn't have to regulate too much. But if you think you're gonna need some, by all means. Once the forks are in, only tighten these bolts, because you still need to tighten the top cap on this, and you can't do that if the pinch bolt there is tight as well. Just gonna drop this a bit so that it's easier. Doesn't need to go too tight. It won't allow you to make it too tight anyway, but don't put your whole body strength onto it. And that's tight. Now it's time to align these forks properly where it was seated earlier and put everything back together. And there you go everyone, that's how you do a fork coil seal change and oil replacement in a Kawasaki Vulcan 650S. Once you're done, make sure your caliper bolts are tight, your pinch bolt on the fork stem is tight, the axle is tight, because those are the important ones along with these ones. And make sure you are tightening the indicators as well. If this video was useful, like my video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Thank you.